Hi, welcome to Arbor Hospital. I see you're interviewing for the role of mental health associate. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you so much for meeting with me today, Skylar.
Oh, of course. Let's just jump right into the interview. How about you tell me a little bit about yourself, Michelle?
Sure. Um, as you can see from my resume, I'm pursuing a degree in behavioral neurosciences, which is a little bit different than traditional hard science degrees because there is a decent amount of psychology coursework involved. And the reason I chose this major is because I'm very interested in studying psychiatric disorders.
Very cool. So what interests you about this position specifically?
So again, I'm interested in becoming a physician, and one of the fields I'm really interested in is psychiatry. So I thought this would be a wonderful opportunity to interact with patients and see if this is the right field for me.
Cool. So I'm reading your resume and I see you have a ton of experience with Operation Smile. Can you tell me a little bit about what Operation Smile is and how you got involved?
Sure. So in high school, I had a teacher who did a lot of volunteer work for Operation Smile, and she would speak to the class and also have other speakers come in, and it sounded like an amazing organization. So I got involved as a student volunteer back in 2017, and our first mission was to Lima, Peru. So that's also partly what inspired me to be a global health minor. Was the opportunity to go to other countries and work with families and children's who were affected by having cleft palate. So I've decided, I was so in love with what the organization did. I've, taken on different roles, and currently at Northeastern University, I'm the vice president of the Operation Smile Club here.
Wow. See, Operation Smile has given you a lot of good opportunities. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's
Awesome.
fantastic.
So tell me, what are some areas that you can develop and what are some of your strengths?
So I would really say that my strengths are providing excellent customer service. So if you go down to the bottom of my resume, you can see that I've been a cashier and I've been a barista, which is a very front-facing position. So, if customers aren't happy, I'm the one that they come to address the problems and help them have a great experience, either at the bagel shop or, at Cafe Nero.
Sure. And like an area that you could develop?
So again, I think the area that I need to develop, especially for a role like this, is taking theory and bringing it into practice.
Hmm.
So, through my psychology classes, also through my neuroscience classes, I know, what schizophrenia is or what schizoaffective disorder is. And from, my neuroscience classes, I know where it is in the brain, but I've never really had hands-on experience with a person with a psychiatric disability. Although I imagine, just like with any other population, two people could have schizophrenia and they're two very different people.
Hmm.
Um,
Very true.
yeah, so I just really, I really was hoping to gain hands-on experience and not just theoretical knowledge.
No, you'll definitely get it at Arbor. So speaking of Arbor, I see as you read the job description, you know that you're going to be dealing with hands-on patients in a psychiatric unit. You're going to be dealing with a lot of different scenarios and conflicts. Tell me about a time when you've experienced conflict and had to resolve it.
Sure. So, if you're a coffee drinker, I'm sure you know how important people's coffee is to them.
Oh yeah.
And Cafe Nero is a very busy spot. We have not only the college students, but several organizations nearby that come and frequent our operation. And there was a day where a customer came in and they were pretty irate, saying that, their order had been wrong the last several times, that when somebody delivered items to their office, they hadn't been polite. So I tried my best to sort of de-escalate the situation by, actively listening to what the customer was saying And to sort of solve the problem, I made sure that particular customer, and I made sure to triple check to make sure not only was their order right, but I took it upon myself to deliver their orders so that they would always have a pleasant experience. The nice part about it is that individual comes in and is always, happy and smiles at me, and has even told my boss what a good barista I am.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so nice. So tell me about a time when you've handled stress in the workplace. Like, how would you
So,
go about handling stress in the workplace more specifically?
sure. So one of the things that I do on my own is practice yoga. And I find that that's really centering to me because, you know, as of right now, I'm a full-time student. I also work part-time, and then I volunteer probably about 20 hours a week
Wow.
for Operation Smile. So I find that if I, plan my time well, I can fit in all my activities, but just sort of to ground myself. Like I said, I practice yoga every morning, and at least 3 or 4 days a week I go running, and I really find that that keeps me centered when, in the workplace.
Yeah, exercise is super important for that. So my last question for you today, Michelle, would be what do you hope to gain from this experience?
What I hope to gain from this position is, a real world understanding of working with individuals with psychiatric illnesses. Again, all my knowledge so far is hypothetical. So I'm really trying to find out whether psychiatry is the correct field for me, and either which way, even if it's not, I am very committed to providing, the best support and the best services to the individuals that you work with.
Sounds awesome. It was a privilege meeting you today, Michelle. You had a lot of great answers to my questions. Are there any questions you have for me?
Yes, a few is what type of training would I be provided with if I was hired at Arbor?
So at Arbor, we have orientation, and then during orientation, it's just about 2 weeks, and you will be given CPR training, buddy, and then you'll also be getting CPI, which is kind of centered towards dealing with patients who might be like physical with you, how to deal with that appropriately, just to make sure everyone's safe on the unit. Just those two things for sure.
Okay. My other question was, being new to the field, is what type of supervision would I receive?
So as an MHA, you will be one of 4 other MHAs on a unit, 4 or 5, depending on the amount of patients. And with those 4 to 5 MHAs, there'll be one lead MHA, which will be in charge of scheduling everyone for their day and like the entire shift. You'll know when to go on breaks. You'll know when to take your lunch. You'll know when to clock in, when to clock out. We have to leave the unit at any time, you'll inform that MHA. So overall, you'll have the lead MHA. There's 2 nurses supervising the unit at all times. You'll have them to refer to also. And you always have a walkie-talkie on your scrubs at all time in case of emergencies.
Okay. And again, I mentioned I've taken some, psychology class and some neuroscience courses, but would there be anything else I could read that would be helpful before starting at Arbor? Again, assuming that I was offered the position.
So having taken those courses, I believe that you'll have a great foundational for working at Arbor as an MHA.
Okay. I think my last question is, what is the timeline for the process?
So we're going to be finishing applications this week. And then next week, we will be giving out job positions. And if you got the job, we will sign you up for orientation, which will be about 2 to 3 weeks. And then you'll begin your job.
Is there any additional information that I can provide to you?
The last thing I'm going to ask from you is a list of your references.
Sure, I can send those over to you in an email right now.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to speak with me. It was really exciting to hear about the opportunities at Arbor.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be in touch in the next week or so.
Great. Thanks again.